Hello everyone, I'm Left, and welcome back to a new Vainglory video today. And today, what I have for you guys was right in the thumbnail. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I call the 5 tenets of game sense. Game sense is pretty intangible for a lot of people, so it's kind of hard to explain, and that's why I wanted to make this video. So if you've played Vainglory in any manner other than purely casual, whether that's intensive ranking, esports, or lower level challenger team play, you've probably heard the term game sense thrown around by coaches and the like. However, they usually don't explain to you what actually is game sense. That's what I want to be going over in this video. I believe that there are 5 concepts that when put together, they make a fully sensible Vainglory player. A couple of these 5 can even carry over to other MOBAs and objective-based games like League of Legends, Overwatch, Counter-Strike, and really any objective-based team game. But in this video, I'm only going to be talking about Vainglory. These concepts, so they start off relatively simple, but they can become fairly complicated by the end. So number 1 is going to be very easy to understand. Number 5 may confuse you a little bit. So be sure to watch the whole video. These concepts also build on one another. So without further ado, let's start from the bottom up. The first concept is in-depth hero knowledge. If you want to be at a decent tier or ever play on a team, the first thing you will need is an in-depth knowledge of each and every hero in this game. If you don't own all the heroes, but you seriously want to start ranking up now, I recommend that you buy Ice and begin to learn each one. If you can't buy Ice, that's okay. Spend time with each unfamiliar hero in practice matches so that you will know what to expect from an enemy hero of the same kind at the very least. But what does this hero knowledge actually entail? Well, many things. Let's look at Tony as an example. We're not going to be talking about item builds here because that comes later. Tony as a hero has little quirks and abnormalities that can be exploited to deal more damage, secure kills easier, and survive fights longer if you know how to use them. 2 main ones come to mind for me. 1, the initial punch of Jawbreakers is what's called a basic attack reset. This means that you can auto attack and then tap your A instantly after the auto attack finishes to deal 2 abnormally quick attacks, which also activates your Jawbreakers, leading into even more damage. This can be the difference between a kill and a death. Secondly, Trash Talk, Tony's B, resets his perk barrier. So in a big fight, this means that it's not wise to use Trash Talk until your Come At Me barrier has been activated by damage. Obviously, if you're just chasing down one hero, yeah, use Trash Talk. But each hero in Vainglory has quirks that are just like these. Some of them are explicitly stated in the hero's kit, like the barrier reset of Trash Talk, but other ones are left for you to find, like basic attack resets. Some heroes have multiple memorizable combos and complicated ability uses like Reza. Other heroes like Grace may only have a single very simple quirk, and they really just end up coming down to your mechanics and, well, your other tenets of game sense. As we just covered, knowledge is power. It's the very same when it comes to item building. Vainglory has 64 non-consumable items. That is a lot to take in. However, to move up in any capacity, you will need to know exactly what each one does and why each item is good and how each item is good. Building on your in-depth hero knowledge, you should be able to identify synergies between hero and item. Things like Maylene's ultimate allows her great synergy with Aftershock, like Gwen's perk allows her great synergy with Tension Bow. Scarf's ultimate gives him great synergy with Broken Myth. Not all of them are that simple though. Did you know that Pulse Wave is better on active engaging heroes than on passive supports? Fortress, Lyra, Arden, and Grace. Those are great for Pulse Wave. Finn and Adagio though, not so much. Did you even know that Lyra should be played like an aggressive support? If not, refer back to the first concept and do your homework. When it comes to carry and jungler heroes, these synergies are typically easy to spot and learn. Not so for support heroes though. The fact that your play isn't always rewarded with kills and gold and XP can make it more complicated to pick the correct items as a support. Say the enemy has picked a comp of Taka, Reza, Ringo, Fortress, and Idris. That's a lot of dive. As an Arden, you will look at this comp and say, I should be buying War Treads as a second item to counter their dive. They don't really have anything to block, so I don't need to prioritize Crucible early. As a third item, I will probably buy an Atlas, a Rook's Decree, or a Null Wave. I'll buy Atlas if the Ringo is dealing a lot of damage, a Rook's Decree if multiple teammates are being bursted down at the same time, and a Null Wave if I feel like the Fortress is off with its actives. It's also important to pick out which enemy is dealing the most damage in a fight, so that you can wipe the enemy team, but say their Vox keeps acing you 1v5 after you kill 3 people. You don't buy a Crucible to block their Kashka ult when the Vox is acing your team every fight. You divert your path in the middle of the game and buy an Atlas Pauldron. That is good game sense in the context of item knowledge. Next comes objective knowledge. Hey, can we take Blackclaw? Says your teammate. You can't expect to answer that question without knowing the situation first. To try to take an objective at a bad time always leads to big throws. There are no exceptions to this. That's why for this concept I've come up with a 5-point checklist for you in whatever queue you're doing to get better at taking objectives decisively in your ranked matches. Number 1, do we have a kill difference of +2? Or more simply, do we have 5 alive and they have 3, 2, 1, or 0? If the answer is yes, then you can safely take the objective. Do we have vision on or around the objective is number 2. If you don't, place it before you start it. Number 3 is, do we have enough people committed to taking the objective? Is your bot laner and jungler not even close to the objective? Are they just trying to push the bot lane? Then you probably shouldn't take the objective. Just kind of do the same thing they're doing in a different lane. Does the enemy have a steal ability? If so, you will do one of these 3 things. You can either move to block it, like a Kestrel ultimate. You can wait for it to hit before taking the objective, like a Celeste ultimate, or just let it burn out before you take the objective, like a Lyris Sigil. You have to be patient when it comes to the enemy using steal abilities. Number 5 is that you should have an execution ability ready if possible. Now, not every hero has an execute. There are more rare types of abilities like Saw's Knife. Krull's Smite is great for this, so is Blackfeather's A. But if you have one of those ready, make sure you've got it to ensure the final hit. For the last part of this section, let's talk about armories. Here is all I have to say about the armories as objectives. Do not attempt to end the game if you only have 1 armory down and 2 or more enemies are alive. Your whole team will die and you will throw the game. If you can't secure an ace, take another armory. With 2 armories down, the crystal can be forced down even in a 5v5 even fight. The 4th concept is what I call fight or flight. Humans have fight or flight instincts, and so should Vainglory players. This is not a scientific thing by any means, rather just a concept that I gave a name to after 3 years of playing this game. To explain, here is an example. You are a Ringo, and you see a Krull running towards you out of a bush. You have no allies around you. Do you fight or flight? Obviously, you're going to choose flight, right? But it's not always that simple, is it? More so in 5v5 than in 3v3, you need to be able to make spot-on decisions as to whether you go in or pull out. If you're a Vox that is building breaking point stacks over a fight, you see that 3 of your teammates go down and you've only killed 1 of the enemies. But you're still relatively at full health and you have 25 breaking point stacks. That's where you make the gamble and you choose fight, because you see that you have 25 breaking point stacks and you think you can kill them all. Now, if you're a Taka that's on 2 HP, you have X-Retsu, and there's a full health enemy, you don't fight. That's when you run away. It's not always this simple, it's not always this cut and dry, but the percentage at which you can make the correct decision in fight or flight is how good you are in a team fight. So this concept can even build on your objective awareness. Committing to a fight near enemy armories always needs to be a decisive fight or flight response from your whole team. If you know when you can and can't end the game, or at least destroy an enemy armory, that could save your life, your teammates' lives, and win you the game. Well, it won't always save your teammates, because you know how teammates work. So the 5th concept that I want to talk about today is what I call the 6th sense. And no, it's not seeing dead people. Do you ever feel like you know where the enemies are on the map without actually having vision of them? That's the 6th sense of Vainglory. It's not just that though. It can also include things like knowing how fast heroes can travel from point A to point B, which allows you to, like, say, know exactly how long you can lane for free for after the enemy laner has ported. Or it'll tell you how much time you have to capture Black Claw as the enemies begin to respawn. There is absolutely no way to practice the Sixth Sense of Vainglory other than just playing a ton of the game. Other applications of it can be like leading Kestrel ultimates out of vision, blindly jumping over a wall for kills, but you're actually not blind because you have a third eye, the Sixth Sense of Vainglory. And the great power of dodging boosted PoE players before the draft even begins, clicking the decline button. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something useful. This was a lot of writing and a lot of talking, so I hope the editing and footage did it justice. Thanks for watching again. You find my links in the description there. You got Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, Discord, all that good stuff. If you like what I'm doing here, subscribe. If you irrationally like me, consider donating on Patreon. Don't know why you would, but hey, it's there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.